Most people want to know what we're feeding, so we'll start with that. Unless you're vegetarian, basically nothing in here that we wouldn't eat. We'd probably like to cook up a little bit more, but other than that, based on... Well, it's not wheat bix. It's actually based on prime quality mincemeat. Then we add olive oil, raw eggs, glucoden or glucose powder, barracks, baby porridge, unprocessed bran, vitamin E powder, calcium powder, make it up into like a patty. And then just before we feed it out, we mix it up with a bit of water so it's sloppy and gooey. And in a second or two, you'll see why it's good to have it sloppy and gooey.
Oh, look at that.
Look at the big tongue. Yeah. Pretty amazing tongue. And the other little bit we should throw in at the beginning, this is Spike. He's a male, about 10 years old, and he's what is technically known as a short-beaked echidna. They are the only type of echidna that we do have here in Australia. The only other echidnas you will find anywhere in the world are the long-beaked echidna, which are up in New Guinea. We only have the short-beaked variety. And this part here, his snout or his nose, is referred to as a beak because that's what it is. That's actually bone. And they've had tongues of 14 and 17 centimetres in length. So you're talking half a metre's worth of echidna there. When you, and they're very, very quick. If they're in a full-on feeding frenzy, these guys can flick that tongue in and out more than 100 times a minute. So they really pack the food away. Yeah, so to make sure that the food gets in there, that tongue's also got a sticky sort of glue-like substance coating over it. So the food sort of hits the tongue back into the mouth. Okay, while I've got him up here and he's being distracted, that slit on there, that's Spike's ear opening. Okay, just there in front of my finger. And if you look really closely, you'll notice that Spike's ear flap is actually at the front of his ear, not the back of his ear like our ear. Why do you think the echidnas would have the flap at the front and not the back? Any idea? Okay, they do quite a lot of burrowing and tunnelling. Yeah, stops the dirt getting in their ears. And they've got extremely sensitive hearing. They're very acute hearing. And if they've got their beak jammed in a termite mound, if a predator comes up from behind, having the flap at the front is going to channel the sound of that predator approaching into their ear better than if it was behind their ear like ours. So it's a bit of a defence mechanism. But unfortunately, when you've been blessed with tiny beady little eyes like that, you don't get to see too much. Okay. Yeah, shape and movement are pretty much all that echidnas can see. They're not, eyesight is definitely not one of their strong points. But they don't really, they can see enough to get by, but they don't really rely that heavily on their eyesight. Hearing to alert them of predators, up to the biggest whale, all of us here, while we're alive, we're putting out electrical impulses. If you have electroreceptors, you can pick up those electrical impulses. And that's what the echidna uses to locate its food sources. Out in the wild, favourite foods by far are termites and ants. They do also eat earthworms, beetle larvae and most other little bugs and grubs that live just below the soil. Now, a lot of people aren't aware, but not every termite mound that you come across out in the bush is actually an active termite mound. About half of them are inactive. The termites have actually exhausted the food supply, moved camp, and they're building another mound. They use their very, very sharp, they're not really sharp. Oh, yes, I like that. They're very, very powerful though, those claws. You'd be amazed what they can dig through.